and welcome once again to Tom's Hit Parade. When I first conceived of rebooting this YouTube channel, one of the things I thought I was going to do very frequently and was going to be like a staple of this channel was lists of just five artists, albums, songs that fit whatever criteria I happen to pop into my touched little brain here. But somehow I was able to think up a lot more of different topics and stuff to fill my channel with, and so happens that I haven't done a single one of those 5 lists since my first episode, and that was 10 episodes ago, 2 months ago, so I thought it was high time for another one. And the subject at hand is genres. Now, I've always kind of not paid much attention to whatever genre that the music labels or industry executives slap onto a given artist or album, just because, in my opinion, they've always seemed kind of arbitrary, and oftentimes I think they do the artist or album a disservice. Because, if you say something is country, and this has happened to me before, if you say something is country, then, people who don't normally consider themselves a fan of country aren't going to bother listening to it. And then they're going to miss out on some really good music, as I said, has happened to me. So in that respect, I kind of just ignore whatever genre something happens to be classified in. And, for that matter, record stores tend to kind of play fast and loose with genres. Like, I've gone into one store where the Indigo Girls, for example, have been in the rock and pop section, and in another store I'll find them in the folk section. So, and also, there's some stores that put their R&B and soul albums in with, the rock and pop and all that other stuff, and other stores where they keep those separate. So yeah, if the industry professionals don't hold steadfastly to the rules of genre, why should I? So for that reason, amongst others, I have my music collection classified into a total of 5 categories. I almost did the Vulcan hand salute there. 5 categories. I've got my holiday albums up there, I've got my soundtracks down there, I've got my comedy and spoken word over there, but everything else is divided into 2 categories, and which, for the sake of simplicity in this video, I'll classify as instrumental and vocal. So yeah, basically anything that is totally or mostly instrumental, like classical, new age, and instrumental jazz, I've got in one section, and then everything else, all the stuff that is totally or mostly vocal, is in another section. Rock, pop, country, soul, R&B, easy listening, vocal jazz, and what little hip-hop, metal, and punk I have. Well, for example, right here, I'll show you. I've got, let's see, the Chemical Brothers, Clapton, Petula Clark, The Clash, Patsy Cline, and Natalie Cole. They're all living right there in perfect harmony. So, and they seem totally happy, so why shouldn't I be? So, yeah, for that reason, I pretty much eschew genre labels, for the most part anyway. One way in which I kind of do pay attention to genre labels is when a magazine review or YouTube channel or whatever, or an industry label press release or whatever, talks about a particular artist or album and says that they have trouble classifying it into one genre, that's going to pique my interest. It's going to compel me even more to check that album out, because anything that can't conform itself to one or even a couple of genres is going to, as I said, compel me to at least check it out and listen to it. And so I've got 5 albums that I want to briefly tell you about that are very much like that. They're very hard to classify into any particular genre, or even 2 or 3. And as such, they are some of the oddest and most interesting albums in my collection. Now, the first one is by a Danish, I had to look at the label, a Danish outfit called Lazy Boy. It's called Lazy Boy TV. And the best way to describe this, and that is of course a pitfall with doing something like a YouTube channel, is trying to describe these things in as few words as possible. If you can imagine the average Facebook feed being set to a techno or low-key EDM soundtrack, it's basically what this stuff is. It's a lot of it is spoken word, and a lot of the songs on here are just like tidbits of trivia, just kind of random factoids set to kind of chillish beats. And it's really interesting. It's fun, and one of the more popular songs on here was called Underwear Goes Inside the Pants. And that is the late comedian Greg Giraldo did a monologue about the absurdities of society, and that is basically the theme for this song. And this album comes with a DVD, and I don't know if that's just with the deluxe edition, because this didn't seem to be a deluxe edition. There may only be just one version of the album out with a DVD, and that's kind of a cool little icing on the cake feature. It has a few of their music videos on it, but yeah, it's just fun listening, and again, hard to describe in just a few words, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. This next one is probably the most well-known artist in this assortment, and that is Rufus Wainwright. And this is his most recent effort, Take All My Love's 9 Shakespeare Sonnets. And yes, it is an assortment of Shakespeare's sonnet poems, some of them spoken word, some of them sung, set to music. And Rufus Wainwright's been pretty much well known for his eccentricity, I guess you'd say. He's done a couple of out there kind of things. But this, I mean, I like Rufus Wainwright, so this was just kind of, I had to get it. And of course, songwriting is a form of poetry, so in a way, William Shakespeare is one of the best songwriters in human history. So, yeah, and some great guest vocalists on here, if you will. Florence Welch from Florence and the Machine, Martha Wainwright, Rufus's sister, as well as some spoken word guest stars here. Sean Phillips, the acclaimed actress, William Shatner, and the late Carrie Fisher is on here. Helena Bonham Carter. So it's not really highbrow, but it's just something different. If you want something different, just don't be afraid to pick this up, especially if you're already a fan of Rufus Wainwright to an extent. You'll like this. And then the next one I hear is one I picked up. I picked this up a couple of years after it had been out. I was just browsing the racks at the local store and saw it, and it just kind of intrigued me. It's called the group is called Black Violin, and the album title is Stereotypes, and that is very much relevant to the album. This is a duo of young, tall, well-built African-American gentlemen who, if you saw them on the street and somebody said, oh, they're musicians, of course the first thing you would think is, oh, okay, they're rappers. No. Classically trained violinists. So yeah, this is very much a mixture of a bit of classical and a bit of hip-hop and R&B. I mean, some great songs on here. The title track, Stereotypes, is great. It's got some spoken word pieces in it, which, speak to the, as I said, you might at first glance, you'd think these guys are hip-hop or rap artists, but they're actually classically trained violinists. So yeah, as I said, the album title just really fits right into that. And another great song on here is called Magic. It's a gorgeous ballad. So yeah, all of the violin you hear on this is by these two gentlemen. And a couple of other guest vocalists, Pharaoh Monch, hip-hop artist. So yeah, if you like a little classical in with your R&B and hip-hop, or if you like a little R&B and hip-hop in with your classical, give this a try. You don't pass this up. This next one is definitely in my top 40, probably top 25 favorite albums of all time. It's called Jukebox, and it's by an octogenarian Danish jazz pianist named Bent Fabric. I won't even try and pronounce his actual name I'll probably put it up here on the screen for you. But yeah, he is most famous for his classic jazz tune Alley Cat, which you've probably heard in one form or another somewhere. It's kind of one of those standards by now. But yeah, what this album is it's the foundation of all the songs is Bent Fabric's jazz piano melodies, but you've got a bunch of vocalists and contemporary producers just kind of coming in on top and piling in and having fun. And I tell you, if you're having a casual get together and you want to turn it into a little party, put this on. It will jumpstart any party. Just what can I say? I mean, a lot of great upbeat, dancey songs, some great mid-tempo numbers, and I mean, all of the vocalists. There's like 5 or 6 vocalists that trade off duties on here, and different, huge variety of different beats. Some Latin beats, a little New Jack Swing in there probably, and one of my favorite songs on here is actually one of the instrumentals. It's called Blowout. But yeah, this, as I said, one of my favorite albums of all time. Give it a try, especially if you need to, as I say, jumpstart a party. And then this last one is the one that I just most recently got a hold of. It is called The Goat Rodeo Sessions. And yeah, the title itself just kind of drew me in. And this is Yo-Yo Ma, Stuart Duncan, Edgar Meyer, and Chris Thile. So yeah, you've got a cello, a bass, a mandolin, and a fiddle. So as you can imagine, it is basically a cross between classical and bluegrass, and with a little jazz mixed in with it. Just very whimsical and fun, and it just doesn't take itself too seriously. And this is just, yeah, as I said, if you want some great instrumental in the background kind of music to kind of lift your spirits, especially if you're kind of having a downer of a day, put this on. This is just great. And yeah, I bought it on a whim in the $2 section, and needless to say, I'm glad I did. Yo-Yo Ma sounds as great as he ever has on this, and so yeah, that's just another great great album that's just hard to categorize. So yeah, that'll do it for this little tour of the odder corners of my music collection. I hope you enjoyed it. What are some of your oddball albums, hard to classify into any specific 1 or 2 or even 3 genres? Let me know in the comments. As I said, I'm really not afraid to listen to anything, especially if it's tough to put into a typical box, as the music industry loves to do. So anyway, thank you very much for watching this episode, and remember, life's too short to be a music snob.